It's okay to speak up.
It's okay to speak up.
Because you're not alone.
Because you are not alone.
Because you are not alone. I cope with my mental health by going on long walks. I find keeping busy helps me a lot, so feeling like I have a lot to do, which is great when I'm working. I even find my survival job sometimes really good for my mental health. Or, you know, doing self-taping challenges, or reading a book, or going to the park, hanging out with friends, just keeping a really active lifestyle, finding stuff that is interesting in the world, kind of keeps me out of myself.
Another thing of how I cope with mental health is that I journal a lot. And I've been writing for many, many years. And that has just given me the space to kind of just be myself. And I think reflection has been just like a very important tool for me to just like sit down, unload, and realize like what's really happening inside, and just to be real with myself.
Especially during this pandemic, I've been trying to get out into nature, and people probably think I'm crazy when they drive by, but I just talk to myself. I talk to God, the universe. I'm just like talking out my feelings, because if I don't, I would go crazy and I would keep it bottled up. And I want to, especially as an actress, we need to be vulnerable, we need to be open, and we need to be honest. And I think that it's so important to share what you're going through with someone or something. If it's just a journal, you know what I mean? It's some way to get that out of you.
I'll be honest, I don't always take my medication. I'm lazy, I'm forgetful at times, and I'm also very busy. So which is a strange combination, I guess. But I sometimes forget to take my medication. Sometimes I just ignore it, and I can feel it. I can tell. I have recently started up talk therapy again, because I feel like while the medicine continues to stabilize my mood, it doesn't fix anything. It doesn't take away some of the issues, environmental issues, that may or may not be contributing to my mood. So I've started talk therapy again as well, and that is how I cope.
The ways in which I cope with mental health has been meditating. I have started meditation, and it's been so helpful for me. I still haven't dug deep into it, but I'm so looking forward to doing that. It has helped me in so many areas of my life, and that's the start of it. My next step is therapy. I am in search of a therapist. I now always say, why do you have to wait for something bad to happen for you to get a therapist? Do it now. Mental health is essential. Make it your priority, right? And I made that mistake. I waited until something bad had to happen for me to seek out for help. Why? You know? So that's my next step, therapy.
One thing my therapist has taught me that's, important is it's easy to get up all in our feels. As actors, we love to do that, but it's easy to get away from the truth that way. So it's one thing to acknowledge the way you're feeling and write that down, and then write down the truth of the matter, the truth of what's going on. And often those are different. And so that's another helpful technique to sort of assess what is going on. And of course, with anything, mental health today can prescribe medication or offer, resources, like meditation or different things. But I think everyone needs to figure out kind of what works for them. But definitely seeing a therapist is super helpful.
I cope mainly with music. I sing a lot. I listen to a lot of music. Sometimes I will light some incense, and I will just take that in. But generally it's music, unless it's a really bad day, in which case I'll use incense.
I also meditate. I love meditating or prayer, however you want to call it. Both to me are the same. I take a moment and try to clear my mind, which is impossible. But if I found that it gives me about a couple seconds of pause when I'm either dealing with something, responding to something, and it's that mental clarity that it gives me that helps me navigate my world and navigate when things are happening to me, which in the entertainment industry happen really fast and can be a lot of ups and downs. So having that in my toolbox is really important.
Personally, I felt like in order to face my fears and move on past this anxiousness state that I've become part of, I needed to go to therapy. And many therapy sessions and with talking to friends and actually meditating, I learned that exercising alone wouldn't get you to that calm state feeling you need to. You need to talk about it. You need to know that it's okay. You need to know that anxiety is normal and everything that comes with it. Anxiety comes with depression, comes with perfectionism, comes with mood disorders. It comes with just the feeling that you just feel like you can't do it anymore. And that's so normal. The scary part is that we think we're alone. And that's why mental health awareness is so important. Because you know what? You're not alone. And once I actually grasped that concept, is that I'm not just the only anxious person. I am not just the only anxious actor. There are millions of us out there and they're still making us. I learned that, you know what? There must be coping mechanisms. That's why I learned what I did, how to meditate, how to use exercise for my benefit, how to talk about it, how to go to therapy and be okay with it.
I think it's insanely important to raise awareness about mental health, just because it's something that I think doesn't get enough focus, especially for theater performers, because I was talking to someone about this the other day. They said, there's so many people out there who, theoretically don't have these problems that we go through. And I said, yeah, but those people aren't going to auditions. They aren't being judged on a daily basis by people who could get them a job. And I feel like that's a big part of the mental struggle that goes with being a performer, with being involved in theater, is you're constantly trying to get a job from people who you don't know, but have power. And you just have to present your best to them, and that you're being judged by them directly. And every time you get rejected, it's just part of it, and you just have to kind of build up barriers to that. But every now and then, you get enough rejections and they start to just bang away at that little wall you've put up. And sometimes it breaks through, and you just have to try to fight against it.
It is so important to raise awareness for mental health. I can't say it enough. I would say it in front of millions of people. I hope everybody gets a handle on their mental health, gets help, gets therapy, is able to talk about it, talk about the boundaries they want to set in their life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I don't know why it's such a taboo thing. I was raised in a family that it was very much talked about and very much celebrated. And I hope that me talking about it maybe changes someone's perspective about mental health and what they think about the people who are struggling from it. It is no different than any other dis-ease in your body. And I hope that the more that we talk about it and the more we are aware of it, especially over the past year, the more that we help each other and get help if we need it.
I think it's really important to raise awareness about mental health. I think a lot of artists struggle with it. I think it's not talked about a lot. I think we see a lot about people's successes or their wins, and it's really hard talking about the losses or the moments of fear or the times in between the wins, or kind of the times that shape you.
As a Black woman, I think that a lot of times it's not always okay to talk about having mental health issues. And I've grown so much. Like opening up about it, because sometimes like when I'm suffering through things, I'll just keep it to myself, deal with it to myself, internalize it for myself. And sometimes I still do this, but a lot of the times now I like talk about it. And so thank God I do, because I would be a wreck.
I think it also really helps to talk about it with other people, because otherwise you have no idea what that person is struggling with, or you can find other people that are struggling with something similar and be there for each other and lift each other up.
I believe it is very important to raise awareness about mental health. It can change someone's life. It can save someone's life. And it definitely has saved mine every time I've heard someone give a talk on mental health. And music, movies, acting, the arts have truly saved my life. Especially acting, and just like being able to go to the movies alone by myself. That has saved my life as well. And I'm really glad that I'm living in an age where people are more honest and open about talking about things like this. So I really hope that, I truly hope that we continue this conversation about mental health, because it still feels like a stigma. It still feels like something that's like a stain on my skin.
Given that one of the biggest hurdles that I think people are dealing with in regards to mental illness is loneliness, it is up to those of us who are dealing with mental illness to raise our voices as well and let people know that they are not alone. That actually, when I started doing more research on depression and started actually talking to friends about it and opening up a little bit, I found out that there were 2 generations of my family had been dealing with this, but nobody talked about it. That this is a big issue, and I think if we open ourselves up to being vocal about it, maybe those who are just starting to deal with it can realize that they are not alone in this process and that there's help out there.
I find it so vital to raise awareness for mental health. I mean, not only is it essential, but raising awareness with a community reduces the stigma it has. And why not reduce that stigma now, do the work now, so that the future generations, our kids, our grandkids, are set for success. They can enter this world knowing that it's okay to seek help, knowing that there's no stigma around mental health, knowing that it's accessible, knowing that it's okay. So let's build that foundation now. Let's work together to do that for the future children, the future adults, all of the future generations.